All righty. So I'm going to check if we're live because after 2 weeks ago, where I never pressed the live button, we never went live. And then after 30 minutes of a wonderful conversation um, on this screen
We
that
had
I
to do it
see,
again.
there's that end broadcast. And after 30 minutes of chatting, I was like, all right, thanks again, guys, for hanging out with us. And I went to go press the end broadcast, and it still said go live. So, but we're live. I just checked. So, anyways,
Yeah.
really excited for today. I'm always really excited to talk to folks, but I actually know Shane for a few years now, and what's funny, and this is why I love having Unicorn Finders with the connections being introduced, because for those of you who watched last week with Viro with Nick introduced me to Shane, and I was like, "Oh shit, it's the same Shane from like 7 years ago." So Shane, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who do not know what Unicorn Finders is, this is a show focused on finding companies doing really cool shit you probably haven't heard of yet. I mean, that's pretty much it. So, we're excited. We're excited to be here. Dan, before we get started, what's the weather in Tampa, man?
No, it's beautiful. Yeah, I can't complain. Got a little bit of a cold front coming through, but it's in the 70s right now. Tipped over into the 80s yesterday. A little warm for my liking this time of year, but otherwise elite weather. We'll be firing on all cylinders probably until about late May over here.
I love it. I love it.
Man, again, you could be a weatherman.
I know.
I'm telling you what.
That's amazing.
You got to keep them hype,
I'm going to be honest with you, Dan. You'd be a fantastic weatherman.
I agree, man. I just met you, and I would
shoot it straight.
Yeah, but you actually
if you're bad at golf, it might rain towards the end of your round. You hit them long and straight. We'll get you in and out.
Exactly. All right. So, Shane, if you want to give a quick introduction just about you real fast, and then obviously Strumn and what problems you're trying to solve.
Yeah, man. So I'm Shane Sniteman. Lived in Nashville for about 7 years now. I'm a software engineer by trade, coder, developer, and I'm also a musician now, kind of just doing the songwriting side. So Strumn was kind of a way to find a problem in the live music space and just build a platform that kind of connects artists and venues in a way to book super easily. And I had lived it firsthand while I was playing music. So it was just, I just needed that.
I can't believe nothing. Okay. But on backstage, so I used to be in a band, and Shane and I were chit chatting, and Dan, this was before you got here, but basically I was like, yeah, there was this one app a long time ago, pre-social media, and I was like, it had a bus, and Shane goes, Indie on the Go. I was like, holy shit. So we tried to use Indie on the Go, and I'm curious, is it similar in a sense of like, because it's hard to remember exactly what Indie on the Go was, but I think it sounded pretty similar to what you're doing.
Yeah, Taylor, what if you don't know what any of these things are, and what if Shane just tells us a little bit about what his product does?
That sounds great.
Because I have no idea. Yeah.
So, well, if we want to speak on the competitor side of things, a lot of them just build profiles and then they just sit and wait. So an artist builds a profile, a band builds a profile, says we're genre, this is our photos, these are our music. And then it's almost just like a MySpace, Facebook kind of thing where people can go find you and book you. The problem is there's nothing for the artist to do, right? So the reason why we're I would say very different, have different features and things like that is we offer the exact same thing to venues as artists. So artists build profiles and venues build profiles. So, and they each have calendars. So the thing that we have is artists can then search for venues days, available days, or go see their calendars and then send a request or to that next available day. And then a venue can see what days they have booked and what days they have requests on for that day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. So we can kind of see I think you've developed a really beautiful app, by the way.
Thank you.
Which I think is incredibly important. So let's see here, share my screen.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, cool. So obviously, this is This is the app. So yeah, let's talk about this real quick.
So this would be the mobile version. So this would be your EPK as an artist. So you can put in your music, you can put where you're located, your genres, your bio, your highlights, all your socials, have everything in one spot. Because right now, venues or a booking agent or anyone trying to book you, they have to, you have to send the EPK in if you're emailing, if they're looking for
What's
you. An EPK is just basically electronic press kit. So just all your information is in one. So you're sending an email and they're saying, okay, let me check out your YouTube. Now they're going to your Instagram. And it's just a lot of work for the booker, right? So putting it in one space is just is the first thing, right? Put everything in your one space. Now, as you scroll down, a venue can see.
That's a cool feature, by the way, on the webpage.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So a venue can see your next available date, right? So they can look at your calendar and say, if a venue says, I need someone for the 20th, and if in this example, February 20th is red, it's that artist is already booked. Let's not even talk about the 20th, right? But it goes both ways. An artist can then look at a venue's calendar this exact same way and say, when's their next available day? Because right now, the only way for me to know a venue to know an artist or an artist to know a venue's available day is basically to ask. And it just gets so convoluted in these email threads, right? Hey, do you have March 19th open? No, it's already booked. Okay, when's your next available day? Oh, April 10th. And it's just so much back and forth. So if we can put that out there for them to see, it just eliminates all this back and forth already, right?
I love that.
So Shane, sorry to interrupt. What kind of venues are we talking about? Are we talking about, local bar looking for local artists? Are we talking about a little bit bigger than that? There's some venues around here in Tampa that draw, 5, 6, 7, 800 people. We're looking for venues that size, a mixture of both.
Yeah. So we say that any establishment could have live music, right? We want it to be able to, I go talk to coffee shops and they go, I would love to have live music in here, but I don't even know how to get an artist. Like, how do I search an artist and ask them, right? I can go on Instagram, but then what do I do? So we're looking at anyone that wants live music, coffee shop level to get people started, and acoustic in the corner. And we have filters for all this stuff. So you can say as an artist, you can say, I have a PA system or not. These are what, I have mics. I have, on the venue side, you can say I have a backline, which is, I have full drum kits or not. I have a PA system or not. So, it can go as, far down as, hey, I'm looking for an acoustic artist 20 miles away from me that can play, that has their own PA system, right? So coffee shops, restaurants, or ticketed venues. Now, the ticketed venues.
Somebody said even Santa's Pub.
Even Santa's Pub, yes. That's like our market right now, right? We want to start low and kind of go higher. So, it gets a little hairy when the bigger venues have booking agents, right? But the great thing is we're building a booking agent portal right now to where a booking agent can use us, similar to like QuickBooks for accountants, or make their lives easier, to where it's not just venues that don't have booking agents. But for now, I want to target the lowest level and work up.
I love that. Somebody says it's almost like Calendly for musicians and venues. I mean, yeah.
Yes, has Calendly in there, and then what you're looking on the screen is so
yeah, it's all about payments. That's cool.
Yeah, so you basically send a request for specific days. Venues have, if you scroll down to the venue side.
Okay, yeah, here we go.
So they can browse their artists, so they can manage and schedule their shows. So they can click on a day and they can say, oh, I got 5 artists that pitched to me that day. So then what they can do is they can accept that show and then hook up their ACH payments, Stripe payments, and just get, send payments before the show, at the time of the show. So it's a mix of like Calendly, mix of Facebook, mix of Airbnb model, kind of all together.
I can't believe this
That's
was
really
not.
cool.
I know. Dan, do you got any questions at all?
Not yet.
Talk about payments, right? How do you guys make money? I see this here. Obviously, there's a Strumn fee. Is that basically the only way for y'all to make money at the moment? Is the fee to book?
So we're a SaaS-based model and processing payments. So SaaS-based on the artist side, $10 a month if you are sending more than 5 requests to venues a month.
Okay.
Okay. So if you are sending a ton of requests, we want you to be at least paying a monthly subscription.
It's like $5.
So
you said
$10 a month per artist. If you send less than 5, it's free to get on, browse your venues, send a few requests. If that starts working, $10 a month.
Gotcha.
Then we would get paid on the booking side as well. So if a venue pays an artist through us, we're basically getting 3% per side. Where a typical booking agent gets about 15%. So we're lower.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Most all booking agents take 15%.
Okay.
Some do it 10% from the venue, and then they take 5% from the artist. Some take all 15% from the venue. Sometimes it's structured differently, but that is usually the baseline. So we're kind of a hybrid model on the revenue.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's been, I'm curious, what's been this sounds amazing. This sounds amazing.
Thanks, man.
What
Appreciate it.
are people saying, especially on the venue side? I'm curious.
So that is the biggest struggle, is convincing venues, because if they have a booking agent, you have to go to the booking agent, right? So convincing the booking agent to say, we're not here to like take your job or anything. Like, we're not trying to cut you out. We're trying to give you a tool
to use now.
Yeah, to be able to manage all your inboxes and your requests and pay your artists and things like that. So that's the number one thing, is if they have a booking agent. If they don't have a booking agent, I found that a lot of these venues that I go to are doing Google calendars, right? So they're getting thousands of Instagram requests to play. They are managing their Instagram requests of saying, this artist said the 20th. Then they look at their Google calendar, or a literal paper calendar in the venue stuck up on the wall that says, this is the next day. Then they send a direct message back. Hey, could you play the 20th? And it's all back and forth. So the initial response is, wait, what is this doing? What's the catch, right? And then when you talk them through it and say, look, you can literally just create a gig. You just create a gig on the day that you want a gig. You can send the link in a direct message, and then tell them, hey, send a request for this day, right? And they're like, okay, this is awesome. But there needs that teaching them and coaching them how to do it to start off, right? So
Randall, I could have used this. Randall, same Randall.
Love that,
same. That's
man.
why I'm so excited for this product.
That's great to hear. I appreciate that.
What about so how are you educating? I mean, obviously with my content mindset, I think that's where a lot of content comes in, especially on Instagram and TikTok, right? Because those are kind of where those people play. I mean, you're definitely LinkedIn is not going to be your demographic whatsoever. So how are you attempting, or do you have a plan to help educate at scale? I mean, or is it through just content?
That's been the hardest part, because I've been very focused on development right now.
Sure.
So we just got payments in as of last week. So pretty much everything is done. We've been beta testing at some venues in town. So now our whole focus and shift is going to how we're going to market it. For the artist, as we all know, it's very simple. Artists will do whatever it takes to get a gig. It's hard for them, to get gigs if they don't have a booking agent, right? So it's easy to say, hey, are you an artist that needs looking for a gig? Here's an easy way. Most artists will at least try that. It's more of the venue side that we're trying to figure out, how do we educate them? How do we tell them, hey, this isn't you know, yeah, that's the struggle right now.
Yeah.
But that's what we're building, right? We're trying to get a game plan for that.
Right.
So
I understand. Yeah.
yeah.
That makes
Is Shane, your goal is going to be to target venues first, artists second, vice versa? I mean, obviously you want to grow both. I feel like the adaptation for artists to say, "Hey, I'll throw my
yeah. I was about to say, I feel like
hat
it
in
would
the
be
ring,"
easier
is a
for the
lot
artist.
easier than on the artist side. But
Yeah,
again, you
man.
want
I
to make
mean,
sure that you have good artists, right? Because like nobody wants to book a. Well, I guess that part is taken out. Anyway, go on.
yeah, no, you're definitely right. I mean, if venues or establishments do not use this, there's no application, right? So, you know, all artists can be on there all day long, but if no one's booking through them, it's pointless. So that is the focus, and that is what I need help with. Just getting venues to say we are using Strumn to book, and then every artist then downloads it and sends their requests in from there.
Okay.
So it's B to
It
B to
makes sense.
C, really.
What's the hardest part, right? I mean, obviously awareness and letting people, know about
Yeah.
the app and, especially scaling, nationwide, because obviously, being based in Nashville, it makes a lot more sense. This is probably something that, is going to take a lot of getting connected to, I'm sure you start with bigger music cities and then you move down to a place like Tampa after that. But, what do you foresee as
Yeah.
the struggles moving forward, or the competition in the space to kind of drive you through, you know,
Yeah.
national or worldwide adaptation?
Man, to be honest, introducing tech in the music space is the hardest part. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
it's
can
like
Why
imagine.
is that?
it's
Not new,
such a
but
yeah, it's just such an old model. I mean, you got to think like venues have been around for, these some venues are around 70 years, right? 50 years, 40
mhm.
years. They're doing the same, they've done it the same way. They've booked. Now over time it's going to start shifting, and it should, because the last thing I'll say, I want to tease something. There's a lot of things we can do with the data of this. If we start
Oh, I have
capturing
no
who's
doubt.
playing where, right? Like setting up tours and where are you playing? Oh, you played at this venue that is a 50 person room. Why don't we try to pitch you to a 75-person room? And now you start going
Mm.
up the ladder, right? And
Didn't
we
even think
make
about that.
recommendations, right? So there's a ton of data that I have that I want to do with this. But introducing tech, bringing that in, and saying we want to shake up the model. We're shaking up how much we're taking from a booking fee. I mean, people that are
Mhm.
hearing 3% are like, "Oh, you're just trying to cut out the booking agents," which is so not true, because once an artist gets to that level, booking agents are
Right.
very needed, because there are a lot of things that contracts and things like that. Um, but trying to even the playing field for artists starting at the lowest level, don't know where to go, sending just random emails constantly, never hearing back, trying to get them to start playing shows at the smaller places and work their way up, is the goal, and
Awesome.
helping them.
Let me ask you this, and you may have said it, and there's a lot going through this tiny brain of mine. Would you
Yeah.
have like a feature as you guys grow, to almost do like a tour builder, right? Like, you take out your biggest artist and maybe the artist, right below that. If we're maybe a regional
Yeah.
band, hey, we're looking for places that are this size, this kind of vibe. We're going to be in Akron, Ohio on Tuesday. We're going to be in Pittsburgh on Friday. Would love to find something in between there. Is that
That's
something
the
that
goal,
you
man.
guys are thinking about? If not, I'll take credit for it and just throw me some
Yeah.
energy.
No, that is the goal. I mean, I use the example, let's say an artist on the 1st is playing Atlanta and on the 3rd is playing in Charlotte. Well, they're
Mhm.
passing through South Carolina, right? How do we, and what is
New
live music?
Brooklyn Tavern, Columbia, South
Yeah.
Carolina.
Columbia,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say for obvious reasons, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think, go to 5 Points and play at Jake's or something.
Oh hell
Jake's,
yeah, yeah.
Jesus
I've put
Christ.
down some shots at 5 points.
You
Yeah,
can
man.
split shots. This is a total aside. We are going off the rails here, but
Yeah.
it's like, so I took my wife when we first got married to Columbia for the first time, and you can order shots. You can split shots, right? So you can do like 3 shots 6 ways. And my wife goes, "What is this?" And I remember my first night in Nashville. I went to Tin Roof on Demumbrian because, like, where else do you go when your first night in Nashville when you move up here? And I was like, "Hey, man, can I get like 3 shots 6 ways?" And he goes, "What?" And I go, "Oh, that's not a thing. Okay, I'll take 6 bucks, thanks."
Yeah. Speaking of 5 points, just side note.
Very good. I love it.
This is honestly where I got this idea. Okay.
No shit.
So I was playing in 5 points. The owner of Jake's owns 3 other bars in 5 points. So he owns Pavs.
Yep.
He owns
damn
2 other ones I'm not coming to mind. So I went to him and I said, "You're having the same bands every time. Can I come play here?" And he's like, "My cousin is doing my booking. You know, I pay her X amount. I have no idea who's coming through the doors. She's just finding random bands. They come in and play. I'm unhappy with them half the time." I'm like, man, what if there was just a way that you can get on, you say, add a gig on this day, or you can look for somebody and say, "I want a DJ tonight and I want them, on the 20th, and I want them 50 miles away, so I don't really have to pay them for like a big travel fee." And he was like, "That would be amazing. I could see who I'm getting. I could pay them directly because, he's paying cash with an envelope." Right. So it's like, that's honestly where I got that idea is 5 points.
That's amazing. Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. Strumn originated in 5 points, Columbia, South Carolina, like of other great and bad ideas
yes.
as well. That's amazing. I love it. Dan, you got anything else, ma'am?
No, man, it's an incredible idea. As somebody that is obviously not musically inclined, and I also don't know anything about setting up tours and everything else, but I think it's fascinating. I love going to see live music. It's one of my favorite things, man. So it sounds like a really cool way to get an artist an opportunity. Sounds like a great way for a venue to get opportunity. A fantastic idea, something that, is a world that I was completely unknown to do till now. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Shane, man. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any last anything else? Any more teasers? Any wise words of wisdom for founders right now?
You just got to keep going through all the people that are saying no or things won't work. Right. I mean, if you've seen it firsthand, if anyone wants to help or get coffee or anything, or like know people or know venues, like need all the help I can get. We're actually also raising a second round.
Nice.
So our first round kind of went all to development and branding and getting everything set up.
Sure.
This is our second round that it's open right now for marketing, new features, bug fixes, things like that. So if anyone's interested, to talk, we're raising.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Connect after.
Yeah. We'll get y'all connected.
All right, let's do it.
Well, Shane, thanks again, man. We appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Love what you're doing.
All right, dude. Man, I don't know how this thing hasn't already been created.
It seems like a no-brainer, right? I mean, I know that the music industry is a little bit full of old guard, right? And I know that people get set in their ways. I think it's like anytime you introduce technology into something, you're like, how did that not come about earlier? Or why are we not already doing it, right? And I think to me of coordination, and I can't, speak for everybody because I've never actually booked an artist once in my life. But what I can think of is like how seamless and easy, not just booking artists and finding artists and everything else, but then going through the payment process of it and everything. It just seems like it checks so many boxes, the things that you then don't have to worry about. Because then I feel like you have an artist checklist every time somebody comes through and you're like, did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? Right. So to me, it makes a ton of sense. And it sounds like a really fantastic product. I think the biggest thing, of course, is just going to be, marketing and advertising and just getting the venues on board, at a national and a global scale. But to me, it sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and that's why I asked the difficulty on the venue part, because as somebody, I was the primary booking agent for the band I was in, and trying to deal with emails and old guys that could barely email, and it's like Shane said, a lot of these guys do paper calendars still in the back of the bar with greasy ass hands, right? I mean, it's so old school. And so I think here's my thing. And if Shane is still watching, I think my biggest thing is, and this is coming from like my marketing brain, is I think the copy and the pitch needs to be more along the lines of helping, because the biggest thing that I heard consistently during this conversation was the venues are scared it's going to take away the booking agent, or the booking agents are scared. Like, and I think the copy and the messaging moving forward needs to be like helping, assisting, and that type of messaging, because I think if you can, no 75-year-old Leonard in Columbia, South Carolina is not going to know what Calendly is. But like writing copy from a marketing perspective to where that 75-year-old Leonard in Columbia, South Carolina, who still does paper calendars, could understand. And I think that's going to be the key, is from a marketing copy perspective.
Yeah,
Oops,
no,
Shane just commented.
Yeah, there he is.
You can't trash Shane too much. No, I'm just kidding, Shane.
Yeah, no, I think it's again, not knowing enough about the space, right?
Sure.
Not knowing, what the back office looks like. There's so many opportunities for here that you don't even have to necessarily worry about booking agents just yet, right? Like if you can figure out a way to capitalize on those 100-person venues and smallers, the restaurants, the bars, the cafes, even the cities, I know downtown Tampa is doing a lot more with like live music on a random Friday night where it's just an artist, right? Being able to capture those and then moving your way up, right? Because there's probably ways that you can integrate this into the booking, agents world, right? And maybe you have like an enterprise version, or you have a different version with different, features. But I start to think of a local bar or local restaurant that's looking for somebody on a Thursday night or a Friday night. It makes a lot more sense. And I know that part of it has to be old guard, but part of me thinks like the people that are going to be taking over those roles in the next 2 to 10 years are going to be people that are used to technology and are used to doing things through all of these different apps. And if I'm using 5 different apps already to do this, and I can use Strumn, and if I need something else for internals, then you can do that. But like it just seems to knock off these things, and maybe it's a slow climb, but then I think you start to hockey stick after that. And what you need is then them getting in circles saying, oh, like, how are you guys booking your people? Oh, we're using Strumn. And oh, this other company or this other place, like, oh yeah, we use Strumn too. And all of a sudden the word of mouth piece gets out, right? So it seems to me like a no-brainer from somebody that's outside of industry. But I mean, I can't imagine too much of a pushback. And what percentage of those places are still run by the person that is doing paper calendars, right? Like even if it's 40%, if Shane's able to get 40% of bars or 60% of bars as potential customers, like he'll buy us drinks the next time we come to town.
Yeah, exactly. Well, another thing too, Shane, and again, this is just kind of my content mindset, kind of running right now. Like I would start a podcast, and I would actually just interview, and it would just be, you can call it Strumn, like literally just call it Strumn. And what you do is you interview artists about their craziest tour stories.
Yeah.
And you interview bar owners about their craziest nights, at the bar. And because then what you start to do is you start to, like for the one podcast that sticks in my brain, 2 of them, they're all over my TikTok, is Travis Kelce and Jason Kelsey's podcast. And then Taylor Lewin and Luan and that other guy he podcasts with. And like they talk about football, but then they kind of don't as well. And I think having a vehicle to get people into your ecosystem, Shane, aside from merch like a podcast, and being able to distribute that content through TikTok and Instagram, I think would be huge, because I mean, Shane can go out and get a bunch of, artists here in Nashville and just start putting out that content and raise. Yeah. I mean, Shane could just be focused on just market saturation in Nashville alone.
I mean, I'd like him to come to Tampa, but there's a comment there that says, it talks about effectiveness and, saving 10x or whatever, allowing you to maximize right? I mean, all of these places are businesses. You start to think of a bar, you know, a small venue hall. You start to think about opportunities to cost save, right? You start to think about ways that we know we have somebody booked, or hey, if we do have a gap, you know, or hey, somebody canceled, tour bus broke down. Is
Right.
there a way for us to get an artist quickly, right? Because a lot of those places need those daily fills and need people in, you know, each and every day. And if there's an opportunity for me to go out and get that or find that in an easy place, rather than trying to go back into my, you know,
Rolodex.
Instagram DMs or
Yeah.
whatever it is to try to find somebody. If I can go and say, hey, this person's available. We need somebody that has their own equipment, this, that, and the other thing. And I can go and I can now toggle through 11 artists and say, this one, this one, and this one works. I can do a reach out and, you know, build something from that. Right. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It sounds to me like a no brainer. It sounds like a cost saving tool for everybody involved, including the artist. Sounds like a great organizational tool. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Shane. Yeah, man. Let's talk about possibly partner on the pad. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah. Just
Yeah. Taylor's great at potting.
we're all down. Sweet. All right, man. Well, Dan, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Shane, I know you're watching. Thank you. That was awesome. And this is, I love Shane as a person. I've known him for a while, but in my perspective, this is probably one of the top apps that I'm excited about that we've interviewed so far this year. I mean, we're early.
Yeah.
We're only like Shane, we're early. We're only 7 weeks into the year. Don't get too excited, but I would say this is probably one of my favorite ones we've interviewed.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Shane, appreciate it. Taylor, it's great seeing you, my friend, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. See y'all.